You missed me? So it's been a time and a half, I know.
Whoa! Look who decided to show. It happens again. I'm telling the big guy.
It's been an interesting couple of months. At the end of last year, I had to deal with some pretty tough things in regards to family, in regards to relationships, and just personal things going on in my life. I also got a full-time job late last year, which took up a lot of my time. I was working weekends, I was working during the week, just didn't really have a lot of time to myself to work on my own projects. I didn't even really get the chance to watch a lot of movies or as much as I wanted to. So yeah, deepest apologies for taking so long to make this video, but better late than never.
Right.
Hope everyone's been doing really well. So I thought I'd start this curtain call year with catching up on last year's movies.
Oh, what took you so long, idiot?
So this is essentially going to be just a list of my top 20 movies and TV shows of 2022. I know it's a few months into the year. Why should I do a list so late? Well, there's just some movies and TV shows that I didn't cover on the curtain call, which I just kind of want to wrap up and mention in this video and just recommend. Because it's never too late to watch films from 2022.
Do you think so?
So before I begin this list, I just want to confirm that yes, it is a list of both TV shows and movies. The reason for this is I can't really tell the difference between a movie and a TV show in regards to budget and just production design. They're almost hand in hand now. I think it's only fitting to do like a top 20 list of my favorites. So before I get into my top 20, I essentially just want to list out the movies and TV shows I didn't get the chance to check out from last year, some of which have been notified as the best of last year or ones that have been talked about quite a lot. So you might be wondering why it's not on this list. It's because I didn't get the time to watch it. I haven't had the chance to see Mad God yet, which is the Phil Tippett stop motion animation film, which took apparently 30 years to make. Really excited to see this, but I just haven't had the chance. Haven't seen Babylon, Damien Chazelle's 3-hour plus epic, which a few people are a bit mixed about. Haven't had the chance to see that. Haven't seen Emily the Criminal. Haven't seen You Won't Be Alone, which is an independent film about witches. I haven't seen the documentary Fire of Love. I haven't seen Ty West's movies X or Pearl. I haven't seen Bardo, Alejandro Inarritu's new Netflix movie. I haven't seen Decision to Leave, Park Chan-wook's last film. I haven't seen the film RRR, which is the big Bollywood film that was making a big impact in Western audiences. I haven't seen Gaspar Noé's Vortex, essentially because it hasn't had a release in Australia, and I don't think it's going to get one. I haven't seen anything from it, but yeah, it's a film I haven't had the chance to see yet. I haven't seen Living, which is the Bill Nye remake of Akira Kurosawa's Ikaru. I've seen Bros. I haven't seen Barbarian. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I haven't seen. I haven't seen Kurt Vonnegut's documentary Unstuck in Time. And I haven't seen Nitram, which is apparently quite a haunting Aussie biopic about the 90s mass shooting in Tasmania.
I've seen everything. Yeah, I've seen it all.
So let's get started on the top 20 films and TV shows of 2022. So number 20. So we're starting this list with the best of the new Amazon originals that I saw of last year. The stylish miniseries really does deserve more notice than it gets. Think Quentin Tarantino revenge western mixed with the brutality of Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian. Just a little dash of Coen Brothers quirkiness slapped on for good measure. It's also one of the best looking shows hands down of last year and has some generally gripping moments. Emily Blunt unsurprisingly puts in a great performance, but it's her co-star Chask Spencer that easily steals the show as Cavalry Scout Eli Whip. Definitely one of the best characters to be introduced of any movie or TV show last year. The only reason it's number 20 on the list is I do feel it loses a little bit of steam by episode 5, and the finale was a little underwhelming. There's just so many things to admire about it, it had to make my list. Okay, so number 19. It's one of the rare treats of Netflix to be surprised with another volume of episodes from this fun, if flawed, anthology series. Thankfully, 2022 had hands down the strongest crop of episodes so far. Love, Death and Robots went really dark this year, and that's probably the thing that may turn some viewers off, and we definitely get that in some of the strongest episodes the show has ever done. Standouts include a hilarious stop-motion animation about the collapse of society during a zombie apocalypse, a gorgeous horror story about Spanish conquistadors encountering a deadly siren, a surprisingly gory battle of the wits between a lonely farmer and a swarm of rats, and a stunning monster story on the high seas directed by none other than David Fincher. Yes, it is disappointing from now on we'll be getting a lot less episodes than the first season's explosion of content, but I feel like with this change we're more likely to get quality over quantity. So number 18. The epitome of brilliant execution of an exhausted concept, Kimi is another great addition into the filmography of the widely talented Steven Soderbergh. Kimi shows he still has what it takes to make a thrilling caper. Zoe Kravitz gives it her all as an agoraphobic tech worker who comes across signs of a murder that has been recorded online. Again, no new territory here narratively, but just the way Soderbergh crafts it into a winning formula. It feels like an incredibly fresh take on the idea, and it's just generally a great way to spend 2 hours. Number 17. God, why aren't more people talking about this show? If I had to narrow it down, it would have to be the lack of marketing. How a TV crime drama made by an icon of this genre, Michael Mann of Heat and Collateral fame, going unnoticed is one of the great mysteries of 2022, because damn was this underappreciated. Ansel Elgort plays an American journalist who is relocated to Japan, becoming the first foreigner working for a major Japanese newspaper publication. Dealing with blatant discrimination due to his foreign background, he has to push to make a name for himself, hot on the trails of news stories that will lead him into the deep dark underbelly of the Japanese Yakuza. I generally think the first 4 episodes are just perfect television. From both a writing and style perspective, you really can't find better drama from 2022. Ken Watanabe once again delivers a really thought-provoking performance, but it's Ansel Elgort, yes, the guy from The Fault in Our Stars and Baby Driver, who really stands out. His commitment to learning the Japanese language and pulling it off so naturally is truly awe-inspiring. He owns that pilot episode in helping bring the humanity into a pretty dark crime drama. Also, shout out to Sho Kasamatsu, who plays Sato, one of the Yakuza henchmen with a heart for American girls and money. The friendship that these two develop over the season make for some of the show's best moments, and you really do love their chemistry together. Just gonna say 3 words: Backstreet Boys sing-along. My only problem is the show, like the English, does lose a bit of steam by the end, relying heavily on cliches of the crime genre, which the first half brilliantly avoided, and it does become a bit silly how much Ansel Elgort's character escapes certain death. That aside, Tokyo Vice is some of the best crime drama material I've seen probably since HBO brought out True Detective Season 1, and that's a pretty high praise. And it's the best stuff to come out of Michael Mann for 2 decades in my opinion. I've heard Tokyo Vice is being renewed for Season 2, which is coming out later this year. I'm definitely keen on that. If you're looking for something after the closure of The Last of Us, this is definitely the drama to pick up. Number 16. You'll be excused if you haven't heard of this one. I was lucky to have caught it during a very brief cinema release earlier in 2022. It still has left an impression on me. While I don't want to get too heavy into this topic, it's a film that really shows that there is unexplored territory within the superhero genre. This Nordic film revolves around a bunch of kids discovering their abilities in a quiet housing estate block. It's the film the New Mutants wanted so desperately to be. It's a truly disturbing look at children learning the harsh realities of life and the true nature of evil. Firstly, this is an outstanding example that not all child actors suck and are very capable of pulling in performances on par, if not even better than their adult counterparts. I will warn you, this film is a bit of a slow burn, but this does make the more shocking moments even more frightening, and yeah, it does tread into some very uncomfortable territory. Despite the children's stars, this is not a film for kids. One of the film's last shots has been burned into my subconscious, and well, I think that's well worth having a space for it on this list for me. Number 15. The latest film from Australian director George Miller. This film got a bit of a roasting. Not sure why though, because I thoroughly enjoyed my time with this one. A reminder of how much fantasy films have lost that magic touch that made 90s and 2000s films so fun. Just a style of filmmaking within the genre that I feel is really missing. It's a film that embraces the lore building of fantasy tales, and even makes storytelling essentially the overarching theme. Being made by George Miller too, it's filled with beautifully designed creatures, props, sets, and whimsical ideas. I generally had a smile on my face the entire time. Also, as an Australian, it was just cool to see recognisable Australian talent sprinkled throughout the film, including Danijel, a Sydney icon. Yes, you can definitely debate its style over substance, but I can't deny what I was feeling sitting down to this one. Number 14. Okay, ignoring the annoying time skips and a few underdeveloped plot points due to those damn time skips, House of the Dragons had no reason to be as good as it was. It just provided some of the most entertaining television I sat through all year, and was a reminder of what made early Game of Thrones so good. No, it wasn't the fantasy moments. No, it was not the breaking of records for most expensive battle sequence put to TV. It was the political intrigue and the characters. So I'm really happy to see they went back to the drawing board for this one. Matt Smith and Emma Darcy give standout performances. I do have quibbles with some of the story choices, like one huge one around the end that simply just makes no sense, and it seemed like it was only included to have a big CGI moment. There was a few moments like that in the show, but the show really held my attention throughout its 10 episodes. Will it keep this quality as the seasons go on? I think in order for it to do so, it definitely needs to get rid of the huge time skips. But yeah, I gotta say I was a huge fan of this one. It was definitely a huge improvement over the last few seasons of Game of Thrones, so yeah. Not in a million years did I think this would be on my list. The sequel to Top Gun, a film that I'm sorry, absolutely hate. I despise the original film. Look, I get it. It's campy fun and it's supposed to be not taken seriously, but just from a filmmaking perspective, this film absolutely sucks. I'm sorry, I'll never be convinced otherwise. I apologize to all you loyal Top Gunners, but I'm just not one of them.
Top Gun is fucking great.
But yeah, I gotta say, this sequel did deliver. It's an example of a film that, in my opinion, exceeds the quality of the original. Like June of 2021, Top Gun Maverick delivers on pure spectacle. The flight combat sequences are generally awe-inspiring, and in my opinion were a lot more impressive than most big spectacle movies of this year. Also, secondly, and this comes to much surprise, I generally think Tom Cruise gave a great performance. You can say a lot about the guy's private life, but damn did he deliver as a really enjoyable action protagonist to root for. And despite it borrowing bits and pieces from the original, like completely ripping off the opening sequence, which is a cliche in long-awaited sequels that often irks me, I really did not mind it here. They actually make it work. And especially when it comes to its second act, it really separates itself from its cult predecessor as a hugely entertaining blockbuster film. It was just such a pleasure to watch in the cinema. Number 12. This was higher on the list earlier in the year. Upon reflection, I do see some of its flaws, which I will discuss in a little bit. But one thing I can say about this film is it is by far one of the most beautiful looking films of 2022. Like, you could literally watch the film without any of its audio, any of its music, and you would just be impressed. I mean, my goodness, some of these sequences are just jaw-dropping. One particular sequence involving tanks is just jaw-dropping to look at. Now, I will admit I have not read the original book that it's based off, nor have I seen the original 1930s movie, but I still think this adaptation does effectively get across its anti-war message. But there are components of this film I feel are lacking in regards to the storytelling department. Like, for example, I feel like the characters that we're supposed to sympathize with are not given enough backstory or enough character moments to really empathize with. They're just generally blank slates. If these characters were given a little bit more background, this experience would have been even more visceral. Just because there's none of that, it doesn't come close to even the best of World War I movies, which, in my opinion, is Paths of Glory. That being said, this film does do a lot with the concept, and as I said, it just looks beautiful, so I think it deserves a place on this list. Number 11. Do you really want to taste it? This was the most amount of fun I had watching a TV show this year. Not only far superior to the James Gunn Suicide Squad film, but made me eat my own words about how superhero content has nothing fresh or exciting left. This is how you do superheroes right. Sure, did anyone ask for a Peacemaker show? Maybe one person in the world? It was a great addition to the TV lineup this year. Peacemaker easily solidified James Gunn as one of the funniest writers to work in the industry, and it bodes well for his future plans to take over the DC universe. Peacemaker is everything I want out of a James Gunn superhero story. It's crass, it's funny, it's heartwarming at times, put a smile on my face, like a good old scoop of Bing chilling. I just can't recommend this enough. Number 10.
It's about damn time.
This really came to be a year of surprises. I never thought I would have had a Jordan Peele film on this list either. Unlike many others, I haven't been a huge fan of his work, thinking it has relied way too much on pushing social issues than making an intense horror film. Not to say Nope doesn't do this either, but I don't know, this film works a lot better, and I think that's generally because it's actually a scary film. This film really got under my skin. The monster, who I won't spoil here, is actually creepy as hell. And Peele beautifully utilises the IMAX cameras to get across this fear factor so well. It's one of the rare horror movies this year that actually spooked me. I know a lot of people didn't receive this film well as his others, and it is certainly not holding the hands of its audience when it comes to explaining everything that happens. But yeah, this was a very enjoyable watch. Jordan Peele is working on his next film for Christmas 2024, and yeah, count me in. I'm looking forward to it. Number 9. No film or TV show is going to make you cringe as hard as Nathan Fielder's follow-up show to Nathan For You. One can debate that the show that made him famous is superior.
Oh, it's me, Maddie. I'm in heaven now.
But this shouldn't take away the fact that the rehearsal is some of the most confronting and uncomfortable television of 2022, meaning, well, it had to be added to the list. Essentially a social experiment, Nathan is the director of elaborately staged rehearsals to ordinary people's big moments in their lives. So in the first episode, he helps a socially anxious man orchestrate the best response to announce to his pub trivia friends a hidden truth about his life. As a result, an exact replica of the pub is crafted, with actors littering the set. I could say more, but I feel like you really need to find out the depths of craziness this show goes by yourself. I was left scratching my head throughout this program, and there are moments that really call into question the morality of this social experiment. A favourite episode of mine is one that focuses on the perspective of Nathan and the actors that work under him through this experiment. You know, having to mimic other people for a job. How far do actors push to get the authenticity of their subjects? How far should actors really take it where it doesn't become creepy, antisocial, and just dangerous? It's a heavy subject matter, and then later it's topped with Nathan having to question fatherhood and the responsibility of being a parent. After completing the show, I will claim I do debate how many people were actually in on the joke, but that I was calling into question this whole experiment certainly shows how the boundaries of comedy were being pushed. Do yourself a favor and binge it. It's only 6 episodes. Yes, it will make you cringe so hard, but it will certainly make you think. Okay, so this is a leftover from 2022, but Australia got it a full year after everyone else did. So yeah, sorry, it's going on the 2022 list. It's an excellent example of a film that really does utilize well its 3-hour runtime, but this is an awesome film. It's loosely based on a short story collection by Japanese author Haruki Murakami. It's a beautiful film about loss, revenge, depression, and the dedication to art. It does take a while to get going, and one can certainly wince and check the watch when the opening credits come a whopping 41 minutes into the film.
Jesus Christ.
But no, please, this is a really meditative piece of cinema that is well worth the investment. Has brilliant performances all around, especially from Korean actress Park Yoo-rim, and had absolutely wonderful cinematography, which gives Japan just such a distinct look that I had not seen in a lot of Japanese media. But this film really got to the suburban side of Japan, a side that I've not seen in a lot of movies recently. Damn, does this film make it look satisfying to drive a car through the streets of Japan. It's a really wonderful film. Don't let the 3 hours scare you, it's well worth your time. It's astounding to think with how huge internet culture is, there have been very little accurate representations of it in cinema. Well, until now. This film has been slowly rising up this list, and I'm so glad it's found such a high spot. It's a debut film from Jane Schoenbrunn, a director I'll definitely be keeping an eye on. The film revolves around a depressed teenage girl who becomes obsessed with an online role-playing game that upon watching is meant to change the viewer in horrendous ways. It's an idea that's been done before, sure, but this film captures that real sense of isolation one can find using the internet if you go too far down the rabbit hole. But what I find really original and quite unique about this film is it never feels like the film is judging these people at all. I've been kind of sick and tired of the labeling of internet homebodies being either misogynists, child abusers, or serial killers. But here it's just seen as a lifestyle for those who just can't function properly in society, have no other choice but to resort to the web pages of the internet to go through their day, even if they come across pages that they really shouldn't have. Look, the film never agrees that this is a healthy lifestyle, but I'm glad it never picks on them or exploits them either. There are just some people stuck in the conversation chats of the internet that aren't looking to prey on people. Some are just purely looking for companionship and a friend, and I've really got to give credit to Jane for finally capturing that so respectfully. This film certainly is not going to please everyone, it's very much a slow burn, but boy does it make up for it in pure atmosphere. Also, big praise to Michael J. Rogers, who once again proves to be a true indie cinema darling, who beautifully captures an older man trapped in the chat rooms of the internet. I won't spoil where this film goes, as quite honestly, I don't even really know where the film goes, but this was a truly frightening and alienating experience for me. Number 6. Man, I was mad when I found out that Robert Eggers' big budget Viking epic didn't do well. Viewing The Northman was one of the most tragic events of last year. Happy to hear that it has made its money back somewhat through a video on demand release, because damn does this film deserve more attention. What an atmosphere and what a way to follow The Witch in the Lighthouse. This is a film that needs to be seen on the big screen, and this is what big budget films should be like. It's beautifully shot, it's brilliant attention to detail. It's got wonderfully committed performances from all of its cast members. Yes, even Nicole Kidman. And it's just a pure adrenaline rush as well. Yes, it is familiar narrative territory, essentially being the Scandinavian version of Shakespeare's Hamlet, but damn is it told well. Robert Eggers has truly become a must-see director, and I cannot wait for his take on Nosferatu the Vampire.
I'll eat her later.
Number 5. Okay, before anyone brings up its similarities with Showtime TV show The Bear, I claim I have not seen this, and so I can't compare which one does this idea better. But I'm sure it wouldn't change my mind that Boiling Point is one of the most visceral and frustrating watches of 2022. There is no doubt it is a technical marvel being shot in one continuous take. But what places this film so high on this list is its storytelling quality. Being in this upmarket London restaurant on the busiest night of the year is suffocating in this film. It's wonderfully tense. Stephen Graham once again proves what a powerhouse performer he is, and I really do hope he gets a chance to really blow up in popularity. Just give this man an Oscar for goodness sake, he's been due one for like 10-15 years now. Seriously, such a wonderful actor. And same with Vinette Robinson, who steals the show. Anyone who has worked in hospitality probably knows the stress of a busy night, but the drama of the kitchen here is palpable. It's like a wonderfully crafted theatre production with the camera being the eyes and ears of the reporting. It's all around an awesome viewing experience, but it's not one for the faint-hearted. Number 4. Todd Fields is back again with his follow-up to the film Little Children. Tar is one of those films that, yes, is a slow burn, and yes, I admit it took a while for it to get going, but when it does, you are fully absorbed in its story and its characters. Well, its character that it revolves around. To no surprise, Cate Blanchett is fantastic in this role, and in my opinion should have won Best Actress at the Oscars, but whatever, it's just the Oscars. But yeah, this film really is such a powerhouse. In regards to filmmaking, just great performances, great cinematography, and yeah, I was just thrilled throughout. It also has hands down the craziest ending of any movie I've seen of 2022. Just as a visceral character study, it was a fantastic experience. It's definitely one of the best character movies of 2022. Number 3. Perhaps I'm biased since I just caught this film recently. Damn, was this one of the best films of the year. Martin McDonagh's follow-up to the Oscar-winning 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. This is a surprisingly private affair for the director. What starts out as 2 friends having a disagreement descends into a tale of dreading existentialism, loneliness, holding one's pride, and losing faith. It's some pretty heavy topics, but the way it interweaves these ideas is incredibly powerful. Colin Farrell, what can I say, but give this man a big pat on the back for such a wonderfully committed performance. This character really hit close to home for me, and it really played into a genuine fear that I've gone through before of being considered boring and just being too nice. It's one that really hit me, personally. It also helps that the supporting cast are a great addition as well, with Barry Keoghan and Kerry Condon adding a whole bunch of colour to their respective parts. Despite the film being labelled as a comedy, I can't say it's a very funny film, which might put some people off. It's a very thought-provoking film that I have much more to say about, but I'll just say, go and fecking see it. Number 2. I almost forgot I watched this at the start of the year. Not because it's bad, it was just so long ago, but hey, technically it was released in 2022, so it counts. And look, I have to say, not many films left such a nasty yet wonderful taste in my mouth than this new film from Sean Baker. His depiction of American society is undoubtedly a thing of beauty, and I look forward to every time he makes a new film. Not to say that Red Rocket is his best film, I personally prefer The Florida Project and Tangerine. But man, this film got number 2 on my list, so it just goes to show you how good this director is, that this is one of his weaker projects. Essentially, during Red Rocket, we spend time with one of the most repulsive main characters I have seen in quite some time. Like, to say the main character of Red Rocket, played brilliantly by Simon Rex of Dirt Nasty and Scary movie fame, is an atrociously horrid human being, would be to put it plainly. He made me squirm with every selfish and abusive decision he makes to all the characters around him. He's just a horrible person. You know, I've had prior criticisms of movies where the main character was so detestable that I just didn't want to spend a lot of time with the film. But this is a perfect example of a film that wears its horrid main character on its chest, and you have no qualms about looking away. You're just fascinated. While I was saying Tar is an awesome character study, I have to say this is hands down the best of 2022, and my enjoyment of this film has only increased. It's a beautiful blend of fantastic screenwriting, fantastic performances from everyone, genuine heart, and astounding cinematography with the 16mm film. For a film about such a horrid person, this film is vibrant and beautiful. I have to say I can't stop thinking about this film and how much the character of Mikey really pushed my buttons. But please do yourself the favour of checking this film out. And while you're at it, check out Sean Baker's other films. And yeah, Red Rocket is just another wonderful addition to his catalogue.
Finally!
And my number 1 choice of 2022 goes to... Yeah, look, I'm sorry. There is a reason it's on so many top lists. It's just that good. I mean, this film represents everything, everywhere, all at once. Nah, but seriously, of any film this year, it's the film that represents why I love cinema in the first place. It's an embrace of creativity. There are so many moments I was left laughing my ass off, crying into my hands, biting my teeth in excitement, and just truly absorbed. It's a film that can pull off dildo fights, raccoon chefs, battles fought with a bum bag, and a scene in complete silence with 2 rocks with googly eyes chatting to each other about existence. I mean, for goodness sake, I'm not proud to say this, but I cried at the sight of 2 women with hot dog fingers falling in love and playing the piano together. But what's so wonderful about this film is that there's just nothing quite like it from that year, and it really does deserve all the credit and praise it got. Yes, you've heard it all before. Michelle Yeoh is great. Ki Hoi Kwan made a spectacular return. Look, I will agree, Jamie Lee Curtis, the choice to make her Best Supporting Actress was a little odd, but even she gives a pretty good performance. But also, yeah, where's the praise for James Hong? He's an absolute Hollywood staple, and he did such a great job here. He should have been awarded a Best Supporting Actor nom, for sure. But anyway, that's the Oscars. It's just a film that continually surprises you, and it's able to tie it all together with a beautiful interdimensional bow. This is a classic in the making, and I really hope it gets more and more love. It really is that wonderful, and it's a reminder that despite all the money grubbing and soulless behaviour that occurs in the cinema world, there can be a movie to tell just a fantastic story. So to the Daniels, thank you. Now if you excuse me, I'm going to eat a bagel and enjoy some good cinema.